Okay, so if you guys can see our PowerPoint, please let me know. If somebody will just verbally let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome tonight, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Linda Thomas, and I am the coordinator of the Branch Campus Support Services at the Carthy station of Carl Sandburg College, and I work with all the students in the southern part of the district. Megan Jones is on here with me tonight, and she will be helping, and she is the coordinator of recruitment and dual credit for the main campus in Galesburg. And to have Autumn Scott with us tonight, and I believe her title is the Dean of Students of the class. If I'm wrong, Autumn, you can correct me.
You got it.
All right, great, thanks. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk a little bit about dual credit. And if you guys have questions, you can ask those at the end. And then when we are done presenting, Mr. Bliss is going to present the CEO information for you tonight. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is check with everyone to make sure that they understand what dual credit is. So dual credit is taking a college course while you're still in high school, and you're receiving high school and college credit for that course. Now, most high schools will give you the same grade as the college will, so you would need to check with your high school policy to see if it's different. Extracurricular activities could be impacted by your grades on the dual credit side, so you definitely need to check with your high school to see what their policy is for dual credit courses and how it affects you on the high school side.
Okay, so as far as eligibility for dual credit, there are certain academic requirements that you have to meet as a student. First and foremost, we have everybody take the AccuPlacer. We will test you in reading and math, and you have to get certain scores on those two tests in order to sit for dual credit courses. Typically, to take college level courses, you do have to be 16 or older. However, if you are under 16, there is a form that will go home to your parents to sign, as well as your high school advisors to sign, and then that'll come back to us, and that just gives us approval to put you in dual credit classes. Also would have to meet any prereq requirements. So for example, if you wanted to take Anatomy and Physiology 1, you have to have general biology and chemistry at the college level in order to sit through AMP1 or AMP2 and micro. So you do have to meet the prereqs in order to take those classes. You also have to have permission from your high school guidance counselors in order to take dual credit classes. So they're going to look at things like what your previous grades are and things like, and your attendance and things like that in order to determine if you're eligible to take dual credit courses. Benefits of dual credit: you do get a half price award on the first 6 credit hours that you take. So instead of paying close to $1,000 for those 6 credit hours, you're going to pay about $535 for those first 6 credit hours right now. Typically, anything after 6 credit hours, you're going to pay regular price for. We have 2 schools in our northern district, part of our district, that actually pay the cost of tuition on your dual credit courses. So if your student goes to Monmouth Roseville or Williamsfield, they will cover the cost of your classes. And so you, as a parent, won't be paying tuition on those classes. Convenience and comfort of taking classes at your local high school. Depending on the school, you may be taking classes as an online class. Hopefully, once COVID restrictions are lifted, we'll be able to offer more classes in the high school and have your instructors come into the high schools and present to you. Right now, it's a bulk of online courses. It'll lighten your college course load in order to finish your degree. There is a possibility that you could actually graduate with your associate's degree as well as your high school diploma at the same time, as long as we work things correctly. It also would benefit you, like if you were going into one of our healthcare programs, you could get a lot of your gen eds done so that when you graduate from high school, you can go right into that healthcare program. It would also allow you to gain experience to prepare for academic rigor and expectations of college coursework. Potential tax benefit. Students do get a tax form at the end of when tax information is due, and you can use that towards your taxes. Minimizes other potential costs like room and board and travel. We do offer a scholarship to our students. So if your student decides to graduate high school and still have some college coursework to attend to, and they come to Sandburg, they can apply for the dual credit scholarship and receive that award. I believe it's $700 a semester for a student to receive that scholarship. You're also eligible for federal Pell grant, possibly, depending on your income. You do have to be 14 years old to apply for Pell Grant.
So let's talk about the expectations. On the high school side, you are typically going to school every day and doing the coursework in your classroom with your instructor. On the college side, you're going to be expected to do work outside of the classroom to be prepared to come to class and sit in for lecture and discussion. So when that first day of class, you're going to be given a syllabus, and that syllabus is your guide to your class. It's going to outline who your instructor is, how to contact your instructor. It's going to tell you what course material that you're going to need for the class. It is going to outline your grading scale. It's going to give you the whole schedule of expectations of what you're going to do each week and when assignments are due and things like that. So if your syllabus says that on Monday you're going to discuss chapter 1, you need to have read chapter 1 prior to coming to class. So that way you are prepared for the discussion and lecture that the instructor will have. And then it's also going to outline our policies. So academic dishonesty and things like that. So the syllabus is something that is very, very important. You'll need to make sure that you read it thoroughly and know what is expected of you for that class. The rate at which the material is covered is going to sometimes seem overwhelming because you may cover 2 or 3 chapters a week in your college course because you're only meeting a couple days a week. More on the high school side, you're doing it in the classroom on a daily basis. It's also going to seem challenging at times, but your class is broken up over 16 weeks. So you'll just need to make sure that you have planned time management and break up those assignments so that you can manage them through the semester.
Transferability. And this is a question we get a lot at the college level. You know, I took a bunch of classes at the college level and they didn't transfer onto the 4-year. Okay, so the way transferability is going to work typically is when you take a course, there's going to be an IAI number behind that course. And that means that class is going to be transferable onto a 4-year institution pretty smoothly within the state of Illinois. If it's a class that, you know, if you're taking a class and you're transferring out of state, we want to check with that school to make sure that those classes are going to transfer correctly. Typically, if it falls under the AA or AS programs, it's going to be a transferable course. How it transfers is up to the institution that you're transferring to. But if you come to Linda and I and tell us what direction you're wanting to go after high school, you know, what program you want to go into, we're going to make sure to work with you to make sure you're taking courses that are going to transfer onto that program.
So the general course offerings that most of our high schools offer is always the English 101 and 102, so freshman comp 1 and freshman comp 2, general psychology, introduction to sociology, and introduction to public speaking. But I'm going to also take you to our dual credit webpage on our Sandburg site real quick to show you a few other things. As Megan mentioned earlier, that there is a possibility to have a 2-year degree by the time you graduate high school. All right, so you go to Sandburg, click on admissions, and then click on dual credit, and it's going to bring you up to the dual credit web page. And then, like I said, there is some advantages to dual credit, some frequently asked questions, and then some more information that you can click on, and it'll take you to answer those questions. And then if you find your high school, you can click on the icon, and it will take you to the pathways that we have agreed with your high school for you to do college courses. So a lot of the high schools are now starting to let the students do the Associates of Arts degree pathway while they're in high school. And this just outlines it. And as you can see here, there's 2 different options for Illini West to do their plan. And then it just kind of breaks down the schedule and the IAI numbers that Megan was talking about. So that way, if you know where you're going to college at, you can make sure that the IAI numbers transfer in based on where they have them coded for their school. And then there's just a lot more information here. So, and then at the end, it will have the contact. So if you are one of Megan's schools, you'll just contact Megan. If you're one of my schools, you'll contact me for more questions. So now let's go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so financial aid. As Megan mentioned earlier, that we do have financial aid. Carl Sandburg College is as part of the experimental Pell Grant program. This is our 5th year. It was supposed to be a 3 to 4 year program. So we're very thankful that it is still in process and moving forward. And what that means is as a high school student, you can apply for Pell. You're not going to be able to get loans, but you can get Pell. So if your family meets the guidelines for Pell, then the student will receive that funding. Now, with this experimental grant, if you're eligible for, say, $200 of Pell, you would not have to pay the rest of your tuition. We would write that off as part of the grant agreement, but you would be expected to pay for your books and other fees that applied. So like if you needed like equipment and stuff like that, you would still have to pay for that. So it is a great program that we are excited to have, and we hope it continues for many years to come. We also have a financial aid website. So if you just go to the Sandburg website and go to the financial aid webpage, it's going to give you step-by-step videos to show you how to apply for FAFSA, creating the PIN and all that stuff. And Megan and I will also work with you if you need assistance to do your financial aid.
Tuition right now, tuition is set at $170 per credit hour currently. We won't know till probably March board meeting, April board meeting, whether or not tuition will increase for the fall. It stayed level last year to this year, so that could be a possibility again for next fall. But right now it is $170 per credit hour. So typically for 3 credit hours worth of courses, it's $510. You're going to get a half price for up to the first 6 credit hours. So then you're also going to pay a $25 registration fee each semester. So for 2 courses, 6 credit hours, you're going to pay $535 worth of tuition. Again, Monmouth, Roseville, and Williamsfield students, your tuition is covered by your schools. Williamsfield students would have to apply for financial aid. That's one of the requirements. And then if you're not eligible for financial aid, the school picks up the cost. So, but Monmouth, Roseville, they cover your tuition costs no matter how many credit hours you're in.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you apply for financial aid, does that affect like how many years after, like when they're college age, does that affect like your years of Pell grants and all that later if they use it while they're still in high school?
It's not going to affect it it will, but it's not going to affect it so much that they're not going to have any funds left over for more schooling. Okay. Especially if they're doing it as juniors and seniors, you're only using like a quarter of what do they call it, Linda? Is it a credit?
Yeah, it's just a quarter of your eligibility. So yeah.
Yeah. So you're not using enough of it to affect you down the road.
Yeah. If you have 12 credit hours or more a semester, you're using 1 unit. If you are under that, it is prorated based on the number of credit hours you have.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, we are in year 5 of this program. And every student that has used their financial aid up to this point has had plenty of financial aid to go on to the 4-year and finish. So what's next? So if you are interested in taking dual credit, you'll need to meet with your high school advisor. Once you meet with your high school advisor, you'll also need to apply to Sandburg. This will allow us to do your placement test, as Megan mentioned, or if you have SAT scores or ACT scores, those can be sent and we can utilize those as a placement test if you meet the requirement. We will also need your high school transcripts. And then once we have all that information in place, then we can work on enrolling you. And of course, go ahead and apply for financial aid now. You're not locked in to use it. So if you choose not to use it, you don't have to. But I would go ahead and get it started. It opened on October 1st. So it utilizes your tax forms from last year, not this current year. So you should have all the information to start that. And again, Megan and I can help you if you need assistance. And then once we get through all that, we will do new student orientation. There is one thing that I do want to remind students that as a dual credit student, you are a college student. And that means that you are going to advocate for yourself. You will talk to Megan and I. We are not allowed to talk with the parents unless the student gives us written permission or is in the room with us. And then if you have questions about student grades and things like that for the parents, you can talk with your high school advisor, but they don't have access to that information either. So your student is the one that has all that information. And again, based on our HIPAA rules and stuff, we can talk to the student but not to the parent unless we have written permission. And I want you to remember that the content can be very controversial at times. So you do have to have a mature attitude and be able to sit through those topics that may be a little insecure for you at times. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. It cut out when you said, so if my student is a Monmouth Roseville student, do they have to apply for the Pell Grant too?
You're not required to apply for the Pell Grant, but you are more than welcome to. We have had students that have received it, and so it's not a bad thing to get. I memean, it helps cover the cost of the classes, and then there's money left over that if they need a book from the bookstore, you can go in the book and purchase a book, or if they have a download that there is required for that class, then they can get that download. Books can be cashy. It just kind of depends on the semester and what class you're taking. We do our best to try and do open education resources for our classes, but that's not always the case. And so chemistry books, my daughter's in college now, and I mean, chemistry books, $150, $200, so it just kind of depends on the class. So, and you guys are responsible for purchasing the books for the class. It's not something that the high school would have.
I have a question. My son will be a freshman next year, so he doesn't have high school transcripts. So do we just make sure and set up a meeting with the school counselors for and then they'll just tell us what to do in that aspect?
They'll just have to, it'll just be their transcript through 8th grade if they're coming in as a freshman. And we can't limit the number of classes that a student takes. It's all going to be based on how they do on AccuPlacer, obviously. And just so everybody knows, they have to get a 247 in the reading portion of AccuPlacer in order to sit in classes like biology, psychology, freshman comp, those types of courses. And then math, it's a 256 in quantitative reasoning in order to sit through college math courses. So there's some expectations there. If they don't make those scores, they can retest a second time and try again. But if they don't make it after the second time, obviously there's something there that needs to be addressed. And so I wouldn't push dual credit on somebody who's tested twice and hasn't made the scores. But as a freshman, I would probably say, have them start with one class, see how it goes. Don't push them a full load or 3 classes, not even 2. I think just start with one, see how it goes, build from there. We have 4 years to work on college level coursework. And if their goal is to have an associate's degree by the time they're seniors, we have 4 years to do that. So we'll just go at it slow, make sure they're doing well in the classes, their GPA is high, and take our time. What other questions, guys?
If they're coming in as a freshman next year, can they do a course summer?
They can, but it'll be as a regular student, I think, this summer. I think I'd have to check with the high school on how they want to handle that at Monmouth Roseville, because Monmouth Roseville will cover summer classes, but we'll have to check into that and find out for sure.
Yes, you'll need to check with your high schools. Like Megan said, some high schools will cover it, some will not. If they don't cover it, then the student can enroll as a dually enrolled student and still receive the dual credit discount.
And that brings up something too, Linda. You guys are going to hear from, depending on what high school you go to, you're going to hear dual credit and you're going to hear dual enrollment. And those are 2 different things. Dual credit, they're getting credit at the high school and at the college. Dual enrollment means they're only getting college credit, but it's still kind of filling a position in their course load at the high school, but they're not getting high school credit. What else? Is there other questions that we can answer?
Since a majority of these courses are online, do they function like online courses? Are there live sessions each week for students to attend that are recorded? Are they just assignments that the students get and are expected to go on platforms?
Depends on the class. When you go to our class schedule on our website, you're going to see some that are listed as virtual, and they have specific times that have to meet. Students have to log on and meet with their instructors. You're going to have some that are solely online. So they get their agenda and they have to log in and complete assignments by certain timeframes and submit them. So it kind of depends on the class. I'll give you an example. Speech class is an online class right now, but what they are doing with that class is your instructor will email you and say, okay, you can do your speech on this date or this date. Pick it. You decide what slot you want to do your speech in. She'll send you a link and you log in live, and you and 8 of your classmates are doing your presentations live through the computer. So
to piggyback off that question, if times become normal ever again, you spoke that instructors come into high schools. Is that based on the high school that your student goes to, or or how many people are interested in a course? Like, how do you decide that?
Do you want me to answer that one, Megan?
sure.
Okay. So we try to utilize high school instructors first. So if there's a high school instructor who meets the academic guidelines to teach the course, then we'll utilize the high school instructor. And if we're utilizing the high school instructor, the number of students does not matter because we have worked that out with the high school. If it is our instructor coming into the high school, we need to have about 12 students in a class to make it a viable class for our instructor to make that trip over to the high school.
Thank you.
I had a question about the HIPAA. Is there a specific form that our student needs to fill out, either through your website or through the school, for that access form to send to you guys?
Yeah,
Yes, we can provide it to the high school instructor or high school advisor to give to the student and the parent to fill out.
Thank you.
and I believe that form only allows certain things. It doesn't like just give free range on everything. It outlines specific things that we can talk to you about. There is a process that students have to go through. So like if a class isn't going well, I can't turn a parent loose on that instructor and have the parent trying to work through everything. So, we try and put it in the student's hand. The student needs to address it with the instructor. If it's not going anywhere, then they come to us and we kind of work with the instructor to make sure things are kind of worked through. So, and then if we don't get anywhere, then we kind of have a process that we go through. So there's only specific things that parents can find out. It's not, like I am with my high school student and emailing instructors constantly.
No. We do offer free tutoring services at Sandburg. So if we see that your student is struggling, we're going to offer them those tutoring services. And we do that in a variety of ways. We have a free online one that they can utilize. We also will do face-to-face if applicable. And we will do like a Zoom session or a team session of some sort too. So we will try every avenue that we can to help your student be successful, as long as they're willing to help out us in return.
Any other questions that we can answer?
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions later, you can contact Megan for the Northern District, and you can contact myself for the Southern District.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to try to share a video that CEO program put together.
I was drawn to the program at the very first page of their website when it said, think outside of the box. And so that was something that drew me in, and a way to engage students in a different type of learning.
We are hungry for young people with ambition and desire to grow Western Illinois. We have many flourishing businesses in our communities. What we're hungry for are the young people that want to stay here and help them grow. And so the CEO program is where they start to think about that.
We had a lot of support materials, the Midland Institute for Entrepreneurship, so that we weren't out there blindly. We were able to really promote the program in a professional manner.
In small communities, if we're going to thrive, it has to come from within. It has to be, we can't be waiting on someone to come in and bail us out. It really has to come from our own. And if we're going to, thrive going forward, it really needs to come from the younger generation. And, who better than those high school kids that, maybe don't know what opportunities really are out there for them.
Well, I guess first and foremost, my decision to study entrepreneurship in college can be largely attributed to my time in the CEO program. Even when I talk to professors, I can share my experience at owning my own business, working on the team with our class business. I can better connect to them in their lecture.
Then when I took the CEO program, it kind of really opened my eyes to the world and what there really was out there, especially the business community in our immediate area in Hancock County.
Building relationships and networking with people. I've been able to build so many relationships with my professors or my advisors or even people on my floor because I've taken CEO and I've learned how to do that. Through CEO, as we were taking business visits and having guest speakers come and speak to us, I had no idea how many businesses we had in Hancock County. We have so many businesses here that even if you pass every day, you don't know what's inside. You have no idea who runs them. You don't ever get to see that.
Well, I knew that a lot of business existed in Hancock County. I didn't necessarily know and really understand the full scale of Hancock County business and how those businesses are really thriving in our county. And I didn't ever think, and I would have never had, this understanding or appreciation for businesses in Hancock County without the CEO experience.
I was never one that wanted to come back after college and come back to Hancock County. But after taking the class, I would definitely be open to the idea of starting a business, a smaller business in Carthage or in the Hancock County community.
The numbers haven't been huge in terms of the number of students, but if you ask anybody that's been in contact with those students from the beginning of the year to the end, every single one of them will tell you the drastic changes they've seen in the kids, just in their confidence and their ability to speak publicly or look someone in the eye or shake someone's hand.
Not only does it give them 8 college credits and high school credits as well, but most importantly, it opens those doors for the kids that they would normally never have open for them. They meet businessmen and women all over the county and beyond. They learn those essential life skills, that firm handshake, that eye contact, that interpersonal skill that helps them be a young adult.
The biggest impact that CEO has had on Hancock County really is just the development of our students. It is still exciting to me after 5 years to have the first day of class and then watch those students transform as they go through the program and have their own personal business at the trade show at the end of the year. There is nothing like imagining them on the first day nervous and scared and shy and watching them stand confidently with social skills and leadership and interacting with the public and the community, owning their own business and taking responsibility for their actions and all of those things as they proudly stand at their trade show booths at the end of the year.
Okay, I think that wraps it up for the CEO program. Illini West parents and students, we are currently doing registration this week and next. And if you want more info on the CEO program and how to apply, please send me an email.